number 00, Haas Automation Chevrolet. Dale, this was the second closest margin of victory, tied for the second closest margin of victory in series history. Your first win as a truck owner. Talk a little bit about the race.
Well, the race was pretty good. I thought that Eric did a great job. Awesome truck by Kyle Busch and those guys. It just came down there to last couple of yellows. We had some good, competition with them for several laps, trying to take the lead or keep the lead, and Kasey was giving everything he could. The Ford truck was just real fast, and I thought he was going to go on and win the race. We had that last yellow that give us one more shot at it, and when Kasey was given the bottom, I really thought that hurt our chances a little bit, because I felt like the top was probably the easier place to be, especially for the better truck. I thought the Ford truck was just a tick quicker. So, but Kasey did a real good job in the last couple laps. He obviously had a great truck to do what he wanted to do, or do what he could do to win, and it worked out. I mean, the side draft on those trucks is so impressive and crazy, but they can't get away from each other. So Kasey did a real good job. I was over in turn 1 and 2 watching, and coming up off of turn 2, coming to the checkered, coming up off of turn 2, Kasey was pretty loose, man. He had it hung out there pretty far, and he knew that he couldn't come off the throttle or he would lose the opportunity to stay on the quarter panel of the 4, and that was some major commitment right there to stay with the throttle as out of shape as I saw the truck. So, and he's, I don't know whether he did any, I don't know whether he timed how he was side drafting and sort of position himself to make runs where he thought he needed to make the runs, but if he did, he was really smart about it. And when they come off of turn 4, he was in the position he needed to be in to side draft himself ahead. The Ford truck being on the top, if he had been kind of back on the right side of Kasey's truck, I think the Ford would have swung right past him. But Kasey put himself in that position to give himself the chance to side draft and get his nose out ahead. It just worked out perfectly. But when them things get side by side, it's just crazy how they can race like that. Side drafting down the straightaway really plays a lot into that. It was pretty exciting. These trucks always put on a great show, pretty much everywhere they go. The 00 Haas Automated team has been very strong every time they've been to the track. They don't get to go every week, and that's a bit of concern for them to not be at the track working and learning all the time. But when they show up competitive. They have a great amount of confidence in their ability to put a great truck on the track, and they do it every time. And Kasey's got a good track record in these trucks as well, so he did his work tonight, and it just worked out for us.
Joe, this is your second Truck Series win. You formerly won with Cole Custer last year at New Hampshire. Can you talk a little bit about the strategy there on the last last restart?
Yeah, we were here experimenting and getting ready for really next year on this, Haas Automation and Junior Motorsports team here. So we were playing with some new setups and stuff, and we thought we were pretty good, but the rubber on the track and everything got us tight. And we pretty much fought tight all night, and we just kept adjusting it. And then there at the end, I took a big swing at it. Kasey said he could stand it. And so it worked out pretty good. I probably could have went a little bit more, but it worked out pretty good. And then, like Dale said, the side drafting on these trucks is unbelievable. The downforce and the side load numbers that these trucks make phenomenal racing. Obviously, you've seen that. And they run side by side, and they were drafting off each other, pulling each other, doing everything they could. And Kasey did say that he got on the quarter panel and side drafted him, and he said it got him loose, and he said it felt like it picked the rear tires up and it spun, but he kept his foot in it. And he said he pulled it off, and he really couldn't believe that he beat him, but he said he knew it was close.
All right. And And I'd also like to mention this is Chevrolet's 200th Truck Series win as well. We'll go ahead and open it up to questions. We'll start in the back and then come up front to Chris Knight.
Kyle Magda, race chaser online for Dale. I have a two-part question for you. Number one, with Kasey getting the truck win tonight, was that a good benchmark to set for your truck program that they have the horsepower to compete on these mile-and-a-half tracks?
I know that every time that truck comes to the racetrack, it's got a chance to win. You know, whether Cole's driving it or Kasey. Cole's a hell of a driver. One of the more impressive drivers, young guys that I've seen, especially on restarts. Very tenacious. Perfect for this truck series, and trying to learn everything he can at this young stage in his career. So it's just a perfect situation for him. But I feel real confident in the power, the motors, the bodies, the guys putting the trucks together. It's the same team that Cole had last year. They're very comfortable together. They got a great rapport with Cole and believe in him. So it's a great group, and it's fun to watch them work.
And the second question is it's about Earnhardt Jones. Of course, racing with Kasey tonight, and you raced a lot with him at Texas back in the Xfinity race last month. What have you seen in Earnhardt Jones that just see him progressing every week? For you being a Cup driver and just seeing him getting better and better every single week.
Yeah, he just has a ton of raw ability. Really good at getting everything, all the speed out of a vehicle he's driving. So there's no question, I guess, when you put Eric in a car or truck or whatever, that you're getting everything you can. A lot of times you sort of wait on, or maybe have doubt about whether the driver's getting everything he can out of the car or the setup, or when you're dealing with a young guy, is he getting everything he can out of the equipment, and how much is it him, and how much is it the car, and how much we need to work on the car, and how much do we need to wait on him to sort of work his way up to that type of ability. But Eric seems to be 10 tenths, man. Every time he's in the car, he's given everything he's capable of giving, and you don't have to really question him at all, which I think makes it fun for those guys that get to work with him. Every time, whatever car he's getting in, they got to be pretty excited to see him climbing in, because he's going to give you he's going to run it hard and run it fast. He's going to be around for a long time. I think he's got a great future.
All right, we'll go to Chris Knight.
Chris Knight, CatchMans.com. Dale, Kasey said that this was his only planned race for JR Motorsports this season. With the win coming in your second start for JRM, any chances that you guys will consider maybe running him some more races to get better prepared for 2016?
Well, that's really more of a answer or a question for Haas and Custer and those guys. Their plan for this team really is to get Cole up to speed, get him acclimated to be ready for next year, and we want to do everything we can that gives Cole the best advantage he can have next year and gives him the best preparation. I'd like to run a truck race, but we don't want to do anything that takes away from Cole's progression. I'd like to run Martinsville next year. To be honest with you, that place, that would look like a whole lot of fun to me. But I think Harvick has expressed some interest. I'm sure Kasey would drive at any opportunity he could get. But our focus really is just to help the team. I mean, the team being out on the racetrack is going to help them, no matter who's driving it. They'd love to be at the track every week, every race, but we just need to make sure we're doing everything we can to put Cole in the best situation he can be in. And so that's the first thought. But I think that, they'd love to be at the track every week.
All right, we're also now joined by Kasey Kahne, our race winner and driver of the 00 Haas Automation Chevrolet. Kasey, this is your 5th win in 6 Truck Series starts. Talk a little bit about the final laps of tonight's race.
Yeah, it was a great race. The team made some good calls. Joe did to get the truck capable of running with Eric there at the end, and I needed that final restart. And once we got it, I was able to run underneath him. I knew what he had done, kind of how he had raced me earlier in the race when I was on his outside, and how well it worked for him. So I thought, once the caution came out, man, I might have a shot again here. So just trying to kind of duplicate that and use them, use the draft the best that I could to stay with him. And, it was close at the line. It was really close. I didn't know who won, so I knew it was super close. And he did a great job. Our team did a nice job. It was cool to drive for Junior Motorsports and get Chevrolet's 200th win. They've been on 199 for a while, so it was neat to get the 200th win for Chevrolet, and felt good about what we did tonight.
All right, we'll go up front to Dustin and then back to Stan.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Kasey, how much had you run against Eric in the past, and with running so close with him, what did you learn about him maybe tonight that you may not have had the opportunity in the past?
So the first time I think I ran with him was last year. I drove a Junior Motorsports car at Chicago on our off weekend, and he was in one of the cars there, I'm pretty sure. Raced with him some that night, and then last weekend at Kansas, I remember racing a little bit with him, and then tonight. So I haven't raced a whole lot with him, but he seems to be a super quick learner and have a lot of speed. Their truck's really good. They've Kyle's won a lot in that truck over the years, and they're keeping it going. So he's doing a nice job, and it was cool to race hard with him at the end. And I think if it was just a long green flag run, their truck was a little bit better. So we have to keep working on that. But because of the draft and the way that those trucks, you can just run them wide open. That once that caution came out, we had a shot, and we were able to get it.
I think Dale mentioned earlier that he was kind of curious about how you were doing the side drafting, and if that was kind of you were planning it, or how you did it to set yourself up for the fourth corner, or if it was just how things happened. Can you kind of explain that? And were you kind of playing with Eric?
I wonder if you intentionally came off the floor, sort of back, so you could do the side drafting.
Right.
Instead of him.
So that's how it kind of worked, but that wasn't necessarily what I was trying to do. I thought that I could, I just had some thoughts of watching other races in the past and kind of where he was beating me earlier in the night, and how he was doing it. So I was trying to clear him getting into 3, and I got myself loose doing that. And because I got loose, I was able to use him on the exit of 4, so it worked out for us. But that wasn't necessarily my plan. It was kind of the opposite. And I think it would have worked, but I didn't. I just didn't keep my tires underneath me when I turned off of him into turn 3.
All right, we'll go to Stan.
Stan Creekmore with RPMTonight.com. Kasey, was this one of your most exciting and also closest finishes ever in any of your racing career?
So this was I wasn't. I was definitely surprised to get the win tonight. It felt good to get the win, and kind of where we were earlier in the race, and then the speed that we got as the race progressed with adjustments and pit stops, it put us in a great spot at the end. So I was a little bit, I think, what was it, racing with Matt Kenseth at Rockingham in 04 wasn't quite this close, but that one felt really close too. I didn't know who won that race either. So those are probably my 2 closest to the line races, and they've both been, really exciting. Other wins have been exciting too. Tonight, I needed a win. It's been a little while, so it was great to get a win tonight, and get ready for tomorrow night's All-Star race.
All right, we'll go to Mike.
Mike Neff from FrontStretch.com. Kasey, I didn't get to see you down in 2. I understand it got a little sketchy down there, but in 3 and 4, Eric was down on you, and it looked like the back of the truck was trying to step out pretty good. But he gave you enough room for you to catch it. He could have probably took you around if he wanted to. Does his racing like that build up a reputation so going forward as he progresses in the sport, you gain some respect for him and the way he raced you tonight?
Well, I thought he raced me fine tonight. I raced him. I gave him plenty of room. I just did what I thought was best for me. I was kind of racing my truck when I was on his outside, and I was racing my truck when I was on his inside. And I think he was kind of doing the same thing. What makes the most sense for him. I saw him side drafting a lot through the corners earlier in the race, right off someone's right rear, and I felt it at times. I got loose off 2, being side by side with him. So that's just kind of how you run these trucks. There's no cup car. It's so much different to do that stuff, and you don't run so much throttle, so it changes it all up. But as far as these trucks go, that's how you race them. And I enjoyed racing with him when I was outside of him or on the inside. You know, it worked out both times. We had a great battle. I think we probably ran side by side for 15 laps tonight, maybe, or something. It seemed like a lot.
All right, we'll go to the back and then finish up with Kelly.
Jacob Seelman, Race Chaser Online. Kasey, that's 5 truck wins for you in 6 starts, and you just seem to make it look easy every time you get into one of these things. I know it's a lot different than the Cup car, but what is it about these trucks that just makes you so good when you get in them?
Well, it's far from easy, and it's worked out really well. Every truck I've driven's been fast. I've had good teams behind me. Starting with was it Jim Smith? I won a couple with him when the 2 truck was kind of on top back then, and one for Kyle Busch. Won 2 races for, I think 2 for Kyle, and now for Junior Motorsports, and 1 for Steve Turner. So all just really good trucks, really good teams, and been able to, be in the right spot late in the race, and that's kind of what it's all about. I don't know if I've ever led all the laps, or not all the laps, but majority of the laps like you see in some of the truck races. But late in the race, we've been able to kind of get it done in 5 of them, and the other one, Elliott Sadler beat me.
Finished second in that one. I know that's still a sore spot. But I know everybody's talking about the last 2 laps and that run to the line, but all the way back to that restart just inside of 20 to go, I mean, you and Eric put on an absolute show. For you, who don't run these trucks a whole lot, how much fun was it just to be able to beat and bang in those closing laps and know that there were no points on the line, you're just going for the win, and being able to battle with a kid that's proven himself to be pretty darn good?
Joe Shear told me before the race we were going to win, so I just had to make that happen. It was quite the battle. I enjoyed every bit of it. It was cool to run a truck. I kind of do it about every 2 years. It seems like I get in one, and like I said, we've had great trucks and we're able to win. This is the first time I've ran on a real banked 1.5 miles like this, so it's the hardest I've ever driven a truck with wide open throttle and things like that. Was a little different than in the past, but I think I get so many laps each weekend running Cup cars and Xfinity cars for Junior Motorsports as well once in a while. So you can't beat experience, and it helped tonight. It helped us be able to race and contend and get the victory at the end of the show.
All right, we'll go to Dustin and then finish up with Kelly.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Want to ask you, Kasey, and also if you want to chime in, Dale. Looking ahead to tomorrow night, each of the last 4 years, the winner of the final segment has come from the front row. How do you win if you're not starting in the front row tomorrow night?
There you go. It's all you.
That's pretty tough right there. Tonight, clean air was huge. It'll be the same tomorrow night. 10 laps is such a short run if you can get in clean air, and you've obviously put yourself in position because you've ran really well in the other segments. So you've pitted in the front. You had a good pit stop. You came out in the front. The 4 top guys, when it goes green, are going to be probably the 4 fastest guys throughout the race. So how do you start in the second row and pass someone in the first row in 10 laps? I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully we're in the first row, I guess, Dale.
Yeah, I think, there's tomorrow night. It's going to be so fast. There'll be so much throttle, and it's real hard to, come from 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th and get around guys that are in the throttle as much or more than you. So it'll be a challenge. I think there'll have to be something squirrely happen on that restart through 1 and 2 or something like that to give anyone else opportunity. If you're going to win it from the 2nd or 3rd row, it needs to happen immediately in the first couple corners, or I don't think you'll drive up to them and pass them.
All right, go ahead, Kelly.
Randall with PopularSpeed.com. Dale, can you talk about the role that LW plays in the truck program? Cole's been very complimentary of him, saying he's been in his ear as a mentor, and Kelly just tweeted about how he's taken this program on his shoulders. So can you just talk about what his role is and how big of an asset he is?
Well, he's a big asset to the whole company, not just the truck team. The truck guys, the guys that put that truck together, crew chief, Cole, everybody that's worked on that truck over the last 12 months or more are really responsible for getting that thing to the track and making it fast. But what LW is really, really an asset to is the whole company. He's very good at sort of being the bridge between Kelly and everything happening downstairs. Kelly is very good at handling everything in the office and all the business side of it, the marketing and the licensing and all that stuff, the sponsorships and so forth, and keeping those relationships. But she doesn't quite understand, really what's going on downstairs as easily. But it's just too much. And we have Ryan Pemberton and guys like that can, come upstairs and keep Kelly abreast of what's happening and everything we got going on. But LW does a really, really good job of that, sort of keeping Kelly at ease with what we're doing, helping us make decisions. He's raced and been a racer. He's got a great mind and a good vision when we're talking about goals or choices we need to make and decisions, difficult, hard decisions that have to be made sometimes. He's got a great view of what we're looking at and can give us some great insight and help us make a lot of difficult choices. A lot of times, we tend to get emotional and put a lot of emotion into things, and he's very good at just keeping things cut and dried. And this is the best choice for the company, and this is the best way to go forward to be competitive and so forth. So he's been a huge, huge help, and I'm glad because I wanted him to be, and I thought he could be, and he's really stepped up. So big help.
All right, guys, congratulations on the win tonight.
Thanks.